Subjective ranking. Although this process is also fairly subjective, ranking the status of your habit is a more objective practice than simply journaling your thoughts. This process allows you to actually have somewhat reliable data so you can see trends in your behavior and determine whether the system is actually working. By using a ranking system, you will actually have some numbers to go along with your progress. To use a ranking method, simply brainstorm a list of measurable categories you feel should change as a result of this habit. If your habit change is to try a new diet, your list might include energy level, physical endurance, or alertness. Remember to include areas that might also be affected negatively by your habit, as they need to be weighed into your results. Once you have a list of categories, narrow them down until you have 3 to 5 factors you expect to be influenced by the ranking. Like your journaling method, make a ranking at least once per day. At this time, take your short list of factors and rank them on a scale from 1 to 10. It might be helpful to decide exactly what each measurement means. If your category is energy level, you might decide that a 1 indicates that you can barely make it through your day without sleeping, a 5 is feeling tired but okay, and a 10 means that you feel like running a marathon right now. This ranking process can be combined with the journaling process to give an evaluation that is both holistic and has a degree of objectivity to it. I used that technique when I was conditioning my vegetarian habit, and I found it very helpful so I could get some ideas on how it was going, both in terms of numbers and in general feelings and thoughts. Objective measuring. Forming an objective measuring procedure is very hard to do for many of the things that we find important. It is very difficult to measure things like happiness, emotional control, or energy levels. However, when using an subjective ranking or journaling process just won't cut it. Conducting your experiment using an external, objective measurement can work very well. The first thing to do when using this technique is to decide exactly what you are going to measure. Just like the subjective ranking process, brainstorm a list of categories that you feel would be influenced by this new habit change. Once you have this in place, decide how you are going to effectively measure each of these categories using objective means. If your habit involved increasing or modifying your exercise routine, you might decide that endurance and strength are 2 categories that could use objective measuring. You might then decide that the speed you can run 10 kilometers might be a good measurement of endurance, and the amount of push-ups you can do would be a good measurement of your strength. Finding objective means to measure changes can give you a level of accuracy that subjective means can't afford. Be careful in choosing what and how you measure your change. Just because something is measurable, doesn't mean it is worth measuring. Measuring something that is either irrelevant or is unrelated to the true effect you want to create is often worse than no measurement at all. Taking your habits to a new level of excellence can be a curious and exciting process. Try to gather as much new information as you can each day to foster ideas for how you can affect the changes you desire. Once you have some ideas, using a combination of journaling, ranking, or measurement can allow you to actually test whether or not the habit made a positive effect. Don't be afraid to try out crazy ideas that might not work. Be creative in your experiments, and you might be able to find out new ways to take excellence to a whole new level. This concludes my 5-part series on making effective habit changes. Being able to control your habits is probably one of the most powerful tools you can use in your life. If you don't currently feel you have much control over them, start building that skill today. Just as walking, driving, and reading were very difficult for you when you started, effective habit changes get easier as you gain more tools, skills, and practice with them. Reach new heights and start taking that control today.